Happy Friday, everyone. Here we are
Hey.
with, I'm Greg Dixon. I'm with Betty Withrow and Roy Dickan, and we run under the banner of Total Traffic and Conversion. And today we're going to talk about our adventures with our clients that are a learning experience for us. I sometimes say when I joke that says the reason I had children is so I could play with Lego and watch Pooh Bear cartoons, So I think sometimes having our clients to take us to places we never imagined we'd ever go, and we have a lot of learning. I think Betty said a number of times that you like learning from your clients, and maybe you can talk about, Betty, some of your most interesting clients and what you've learned from them.
Oh yeah, sure, Greg. Well, I like to say that I have a number of mottos, and whenever I feel sort of stuck, I go back to a motto. And one of them is, if I'm not learning, I don't want to do it. So I really prefer to learn from my clients and work with people who know stuff that I don't know that really interests me. I'm working on a couple of projects right now on a topic that I've become much more fascinated with than ever before. Of brain research and epigenetics. And so I'm ghostwriting a book. Actually, I'm ghostwriting two different books that have that material in it. And so I'm reaching out into the universe to ask for more. And in fact, today I connected with someone who I'm going to talk with next week, hoping he wants to write a book, who is also a brain researcher. And so it's fantastic because they can broaden my world and my point of view and my knowledge base, so that again, in turn, I can be of greater service to other people who have the same topics, as well as furthering my ability to understand the different kinds of communication styles. Our team works with a lot of different types of people, and it's like when you're working with a client, you are developing a specialized language with them that conveys the thoughts in the most efficient way. That's a process that takes time to develop. And for me, it's fascinating because I'm all about communication.
Oh, that's great. That's great, Betty. How about you, Roy? What's your most interesting project in recent months or ever?
Well, every prospect I need to listen to in order to develop a solution. Sometimes the solution is fairly obvious, but other times it's not at all. And sometimes I can't develop it, so I'm not really the person for that. But so I begin listening right off the bat to see if I can develop a solution, and that solution can change over time. So if they stick with me for years, that solution is likely to evolve. So I like what Betty's saying, that when I get into, no matter really what I get into, in their particular niche, they always know more than I do. But I've got to learn it in order to be able to make them attractive to their ideal prospects. So I'll have to think about what's the one I've had the most fun with, but I enjoy it every time because I learn. Like right now, I'm learning a lot about all the capabilities that dentists have and all the different training that they go through to become experts at a specific thing that maybe there's fewer other people that do. Very, very few of the dentists that my particular client has on staff are generalists. So, I mean, I kind of knew what a periodontist was, but I didn't really know what a prosthodontist was. And then I had no idea that dentists get involved with CAD/CAM and all this other kind of thing. So I'm learning a lot from there. That's the one I can think of right offhand because I'm working on that one continually every day. But it all starts with what kind of solution can I develop. So I've got to learn and figure that out. And the interesting thing is sometimes they don't even know what solution they need. And if I can come up with it, then a lot of times, they become my client and I develop that thing which they didn't even know that they particularly needed.
Yeah, that's great. I've spent quite a lot of money to learn about periodontists, so I know a bit about that. And along the lines of dentists, we had a conversation probably a month or so ago where Betty Ghost wrote a book from a dentist who wanted to teach about marketing.
Yeah, interesting correspondence here, because this morning I was in a networking meeting where a gentleman was talking about disc assessments. And in that same book that you just mentioned, Greg, she goes into quite a bit of detail about what disc is and how it can be used as a tool to develop understanding between your staff and understanding your patients or your clients, or however that works. And I just a minute ago got an email from someone, that same presenter, who's offering me a complimentary disc assessment as a gift for having watched his presentation. I also I have invited him to come into our broadcast, and so I'll be talking with him next week about how to have him as one of our guests. I think he's a fascinating, great presentation. So I'm looking forward to that. You guys are going to love Russell. He's cool.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. That'd be a lot of fun. So yeah, so some of the things, like right now, even my current list of people I'm working with, and some of the people we're working with together, like I've been working with Rocket Norton in the Vancouver area, who is he just was inducted into the BC Musical Hall of Fame yesterday in Vancouver. He's got a little star, been part of the music industries for the 60s, 70s, and 80s. Helped publish his first book called Rocket Norton Lost in Space. And it's kind of funny. I didn't know him until later on. And I'm in the book Rocket Norton Lost in Space. It goes to a certain point, and then after Prism, the band he was in, died, or his part of the band died. There's the afterlife, and I'm part of everything he did in the afterlife, including selling how to coach baseball to kids video, putting on some things at the planetarium, helping them publish more books and things. So it's been a grand adventure. Another one I was involved with that took me to Hong Kong. So you never know what's going to happen. And I think, Betty, you've been all over the world too with business things. And here, Burke is here. Oh, well, he's not in his chair, so maybe he's getting his margarita. But it's noon somewhere. There he is.
Margaritas, that's right.
Yeah. So we've just been talking about interesting learning adventures we've had with our clients. So maybe you've got a couple of stories.
Learning adventures with clients. Yeah. It seems like the ones you give the discount and the good deal to are always the ones who are more trouble than they're worth. I've heard that
we were thinking positive, fun ones where we would almost pay them to work with them.
He's changing the whole tone.
Yeah.
Sorry, bring it back up. Back
Yeah,
up.
well, that's the shadow of it. I mean, let's face it, they're not all fun. Okay.
No, they're not. Yeah.
I have a friend who phones up and he says, "How many clients have you fired this week?" But mostly.
Yeah.
No, my favorite story is a client who used the business plan to convince a guy who owned 2 Learjets to give them to him.
Well, that's pretty cool.
He was going to go out and raise I don't know how much money he needed to raise to buy a couple of Learjets to start a jet charter service. But instead of doing that, he just found a gentleman who owned 2 jets and said, I can make you a better offer for those jets and put them in my charter service, and I will charter them out for you when you're not using them and make you more money than whatever you're doing now. So, I mean, the whole thing is to bypass, because everybody thinks business plans are for raising capital, which that's like 1/100th of what they're for, but that's what everybody thinks. And they work for that. However, you don't actually go get money to buy the thing. You can go straight to the thing. And you could go and get warehouse space, machinery, equipment, all kinds of stuff. In fact, one guy, my first business plan was for a client or a friend of mine who needed to get a deal with Apple. Apple wanted to make sure his company had their act together, because if you don't have your act together, you're not going to be able to fulfill a big deal. And so we wrote the business plan to all people, so that all the different people at Apple with different responsibilities and priorities and biases and stuff could scroll through the different sections of the plan and just find what they wanted to read about him. Anyway, he got the deal. So that's where it all started. I didn't put together business plans because I thought people should write business plans. I put them together because people needed to write business plans, and here's a better way to do it. But I just learned a lot of stuff from a lot of clients along the way, and what was involved in that.
Yeah, no, that's great. You recently said you're going back to focus on your business plan, and that's where people should really start, right? If they don't have a decent business plan, the rest of it's kind of got the cart in front of the horse. So.
They really do. Or I got it all in my head. I know what I'm doing. What does everybody else know what you're doing? Is everybody else waiting for you to make decisions all the time? And then if you go on vacation, like one guy, not my client yet, but he went on a vacation, was gone a couple of weeks. His kids are running the company, but he came back and the place was just on fire, just all messed up because they don't have the context of the big picture. Who are the customers? What problem are we really solving? And all that kind of stuff. And those are the kind of things you've got to keep front and center. Everybody needs to be aware of that. And the owners, I think, take it for granted. It's obvious. Well, not necessarily. Yeah. So.
Oh, by on fire, you meant it was a total mess.
Yeah, no, not on fire, like fire, like burning down. Yeah.
I know. I was talking to somebody, and he had gone on a vacation. He'd come back, and the people at the company says, "Well, it's okay that you're here, but don't touch anything, don't break anything."
Well, sometimes there's that. I mean, yeah, they go away, and their business just takes off. It's like what happened there. You got out of the way. That's another aspect of it as well.
Right. Yeah.
Like Wayne Dyer says, if you really think you're conscious, go home and spend a weekend with your family of origin. You get all that, and if you really want to find out if your business is running well, go take a vacation for like a month and see what happens.
Yeah.
Well, I just went through this surgery, and it actually turned out that I wasn't missed. I've got
oh no.
I've got good people that really picked everything up while I was gone, including Greg and Betty on this call that helped me with presentations and all that kind of thing that I should have been there for and wasn't at events. But it really turned out to be an amazing thing because all my clients just either I was fortunate that nothing came up that I was really needed for, or else I was really not understanding the value of the people that are working with me because they just handled it extremely well. And I found out the strong points of a lot of these people because I wasn't there and there was nothing I could do about it. And I just had to let it play out, and it turned out great.
Well, that's the kind of business you can sell for more money, because if you have to go with the business to keep it going, you're not going to get as much for it. Because why do people pay so much money for a McDonald's? It's dialed in, it's documented, and it can run by itself, but yeah, it could.
Well, when I have your business plan and actually document it that way, maybe then.
Well, that's when the business plan becomes a brochure to sell the business, because it shows the buyer like how this thing is sustainable, will be sustainable in their hands.
Yeah, we'll need to talk more about that for sure.
Right.
And I've got a couple other people that are just establishing businesses. They're not clients yet, that are probably going to need that business plan capability too. Although I'm not to the point yet where I can bring it up. And they may have already thought about this, but I think one of them for sure has not.
Well, the thing is,
got a big opportunity, so we'll see.
You could actually help them. You could do it with them and work with them on it. So that's the idea. Is it's collaborative.
Well, we ought to talk about that too.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But anyway, back to the subject at hand. Listening to our clients, and it's not just the stories, but listening. I don't think people realize how important listening to your clients is. I mean, we probably do, the four of us. But, and I talked before Burke got on here about that's how I identify opportunities or find out there isn't any. But even after I start working with them, if I have identified an opportunity and they do want my help, it goes from there. But the other thing is, when I listen, I can build a better relationship, and all kinds of things come up, including, I had one of my clients was he didn't go through what I went through, but he went through something similar, a medical issue, and he had some problems, and we talked about it, and we actually ended up with I'm able to serve him better because of the problem that he had, because I listened to him, and I was able to talk to him about it. Now, not everybody's going to let you talk to him about it, but most of them will let you listen. So
yeah, listening is essential. I mean, with what I do, if I can't listen, I'm just no darn good, so that's an essential part of everything I do. It's from my sales process. I listen to people until they tell me what they want. And if you let them, people will tell you what they want. The problem most people have is that they don't do that. They try to tell people what they need, and it goes nowhere because they don't, they're not receptive to that. But when I find that when I listen to people, they tell me what they want, and I'm able to determine, am I going to be able to work with them or not, like you just said, Roy. And the other part of it is that as I'm working with them, I really got to listen to them so that I can develop some effective content for their marketing needs. That and so it turns into a two-way street. They give me the input and the insight and everything that I need in order to be able to take it back to them and say, here's what your people need to hear from you.
Yeah.
And that goes back to my very favorite topic of what do different groups of people find to be important.
The other thing I find in listening to people at length like that is I'm listening to the words they use. I might use certain vocabulary, certain words, and they'll use different words, or they'll use certain words. And I think, okay, good idea. I should write that down. Maybe that's something I should put in my website copy or my email copy of the words they're using, because that's how they think about it. And if I use a different vocabulary, I don't understand you.
Right.
Yeah, we've been talking about a potential client in Australia. They want to break into the North American audience, and we were thinking they need a new website with different language because, you almost need a translation to resonate with the North American audience. Yeah,
it's true. It's true. And I mean, the different versions of English around the globe, it's a big issue that, can you, I mean, that meeting that we go to with that Roy holds with the Australians, sometimes some of them have such a thick accent that my brain is going, what does that mean exactly? Because of the cadence and the way that their glottal stops and everything else are. It's like it presents a barrier. So as you say, a translation, if you want to talk to Americans, you have to talk Americans. I mean, the people in this country are not as into learning as for the most part.
Okay.
Yeah, when I was in England, I was good as long as you're having a conversation. But you go to a bar and people start telling stories, and you're just gone because they got, slang and local references and all sorts of stuff, and completely different sensibility, and that's it. And then, heaven help you if you're in Newfoundland.
For Scotland.
I have trouble with that accent. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess you took a lot of work to get your Boston accent out of there, eh, Roy?
Yeah, that took about a year of constant effort. And but the people in Newfoundland don't try to get rid of their accent.
Well, they're perfectly fine if they're traveling in the public. But if you're sitting there in their kitchen drinking screech, all bars are off. Anything's possible.
What screech? What's that? I don't even want to know.
Yeah. Well, it's about it's a high. It's kind of like moonshine, sort of.
Yeah. Okay. Local hooch. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Well, interesting you brought up Scotland, Bert, because a friend of mine is traveling in Scotland right now, and I'm sure that when she comes back, she's going to be speaking differently.
Yeah.
It just happens,
Yeah. I was going to say also, I've demoing my product to customers, I find where, like they don't see things that I think are obvious, and so it's like, I don't know if that's a speaking thing, but I'll be pointing out something. I'm thinking it's right there. What are you talking about? It's like, and I think it's obvious. So I think listening to customers and watching them use your product, whatever that is, and you realize, okay, I need to make that button a color, or I need to like the login part. I need to put some numbers there.
Yeah,
go to the next section. Like, what's the next section? It's like, and back in the day, way back when we had software that was downloadable way back, selling in stores and stuff, and people would buy, they call up and say, because the instructions would say, do this, type that, then click any key, and then they call up on the phone and say, I can't find the any key.
Yeah.
And it's stuff like that you just can't imagine. That
so
people,
I think, sometimes the people ask, what's your superpower? One, I'll read the screen, and the other, I will use Google to look up something I don't know. It's amazing how many people resist. I think the people really hate computers, and they just resent the fact that the screen's asking them to do something. So they don't read the screen. Like, it's just
on a tech support call, somebody would call up and go, first thing out of their mouth, I hate computers. Well, okay, that's not helpful, because you're going to hate them to begin with. And then you'll say, okay, do this, click the red button. Well, I already clicked the green button. I think, why did you click the green button? We weren't there yet. I'm walking you through this thing. And go back, God. And
this is why the word obvious is not helpful here. Okay.
No. We switched any key to hit the space bar. They can find that, because it's the biggest key on the keyboard. So okay, you don't have to hit anyone you want, but no, just tell them just pick one. We pick one, and that solved that problem. But it was amazing how many people called up and couldn't find any key.
Really, there were more than one.
Oh yeah, not a million of them, but enough to think, seriously, are you kidding me? We have to tell you which click any key. What is that about that that's hard to understand? No, you gotta make it stupid simple.
Move your right hand.
This is how everything came to be idiot-proofed, as we call it.
Well, when it comes to languages, I got to deal with another one too, because I got to learn how the bots think. And I have to explain it to them. And I really realized that the other day when Google suggested to me that the wording on my buttons was not accurate enough for some people. And I thought, wow, okay, all right. I gotta listen to these people.
That's a whole school of copywriting in itself. What label to put on the button?
What to put on the button?
Submit is not okay. Wow.
Yeah, they want they want it to be more detailed than that. Get right to the point. Why are they hitting the button?
Yeah, submit to my will.
Word. But yeah, okay, I'll try.
I want the free thing. Click here to get the free thing.
Yeah, but there's not enough room on the button for that.
Big button.
Yeah,
now I can write that above the button, but they want it on the button. So anyway, I got to deal with that language as well.
At this webpage, it says there's a blue button at the top that says "Stream this to your audience."
Yes, you want to know what that is?
Stream this to your audience. It's a button that you click that and it streams this to your audience, I presume.
Yeah, but if you don't have a StreamYard account, it's going to take you down a rabbit hole. But it's perfect for our guests, because in theory, we have this broadcast. I usually stream to about 6 or 8 locations, and then you could stream to 2 of yours, and Roy can stream to 2 of yours, and Betty can stream to 2. Then all of a sudden we're out everywhere. We got niche domination of the internet, right?
Right. Yeah. I was thinking earlier, if I'm not mistaken, this is the only live brainstorming / networking meeting around, where we're actually just making it up as we go along right in front of everybody. I don't think anybody else does this. And is this brave, foolhardy, brilliant, or crazy, or all of the above?
Or all of the above, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Burke joined us, so I guess we're not totally crazy.
Yeah.
Not totally. I do have to leave in a few minutes. I have a conflict with a firm that wants to know about investing in my company, because I need to add AI to my Business Power Tools dashboard. You can imagine I've got one of my products is an employee policy handbook, and so you get 50 states with 200 plus policies. That's 10,000 policies to keep up with. If I could have AI keep that up to date.
Oh yeah.
Just like a safety plan too. It makes a difference whether you're a commercial kitchen or you got a kitchen in an accounting firm and you have more than 50 employees or less employees, and you're in California or you're in Texas. Your safety rules for your kitchen are going to be a world of difference depending on all of those variables. Yeah. And so if I could do back to talking to the AI, explain to it, okay, grab this, and that variable, and see the section we're in. It's about the kitchen. Well, an accounting firm's only got a coffee maker in it, some tables and magazines. But a commercial kitchen's got 50 chefs and sous chefs in there doing stuff. Big difference in safety things or policies that need to be followed in there. And then of course have a link to go to OSHA and get the latest, but keep it under 1,000 words in this policy. So you could, all this prompt engineering would need to go into these things. But if it would do it automatically and then send the HR manager or the COO automatically saying, the kitchen policy just changed by more than 20%. You need to know here's the changes and highlight it. And that would be, I think that'd be really a cool feature to have. So, but it's going to cost serious cashish to.
Well, maybe not. That you can develop your own AI apps.
I need them baked into the system that I have. So yeah, but each of those sections of the 200 policies has to have a prompt engineering link in there to do the whole thing and automatically.
Well, it'd be easier to have somebody else do it, but I'll bet you could do it.
Well, yeah, I don't know how the code behind the scenes works to how to bake it in there. Sure, I put a link in there, saying, okay, here's a link to Chat GPT. Click here, and I kind of did it semi manually in one of the sections just to see how do we update this policy per blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, we proved the concept. It just needs to be automated throughout.
Yeah.
And then, replace the policy here with the changes that are in bold or color, so we can see like what.
Yeah, that's pretty.
What changed about this policy? Not just like because like the COVID policy is a mile long, which is that was just yanked the whole thing out. COVID policy, joke's on you, get rid of it. But that would be bad. So people would object.
That's history anyway now, mostly.
Yeah. Well, I'm too much of a fan of conspiracy theories that later turned into news. But anyway, I'll go down that rabbit hole right now.
It's probably a good thing.
Oh boy.
Probably a good thing, yeah.
Anyway, I've got to go talk to these guys, but I would happily be on you and not schedule conflicts next time. So
sure,
this is fun.
Yeah. I'm back.
Good luck with your meeting. That sounds like pretty exciting stuff.
Yeah, that sounds real good.
Sounds like a really good use for AI. Going. Yeah,
it could be a lot of money coming out of some place like Abu Dhabi. I don't know if that's a good idea or not, but hey,
I'd go for it.
Cash is cash, man. That's the thing.
I'll wait.
Too much money in your face. You think
get connected to the Chinese government.
It's like, yeah.
No, the NBA doesn't mind dealing with China, so.
Well, the PGA doesn't mind dealing with Saudi Arabia, apparently. So
there you go.
There you go.
If they'll allow that deal to go through, we'll see how that does.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
All right. Gotta go. See you guys.
Okay, Bert. Good to see you.
No, I don't know. I'm on my old Mac. Good seeing you guys.
Okay, good to see you. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, get out of here. Just go up to the top of the screen. There we go.
There we go. And now for something completely different.
Right? Yeah. Oh boy. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, actually, I think the theme that Betty and Roy said, and I think that's part of our total traffic and conversion way, is we meet you where you are now. We listen to you and figure out where you're at now and where you want to go, and then we help you come up with a roadmap to get there. And everybody's really, I think almost everybody's unique. We have a bunch of tools. We have sort of standard things that we do for almost everybody, but how we apply those depends on the client, and what's appropriate will vary on the client too. So we have one client now, and we're trying to get her out into the real world a little more than online, because maybe the people that her real audience and her clients are not necessarily hanging out online. Yeah, maybe she needs to get out into the real world, and yeah, the outside world.
The outside world. I was
It's
going to
just,
say real is relative, isn't it? I mean,
yeah,
at this
real is
point,
very relative. That's not an appropriate thing for
yeah,
for the majority of the people we work with. This is the world they're dealing with, talking on
yeah.
meetings like this,
Mhm.
communicating through text messaging, reading blogs, doing all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think it's good to
But then,
bring
there
in,
again, that goes back to meeting your audience where they are.
Yeah.
yes,
Your audience is sitting in an auditorium, go to the auditorium.
Yep. Go to the auditorium, and yeah, and we have a few people, not necessarily our clients at the moment, who probably should be our clients, and they're really in the wrong spot, and they're spinning their wheels for sometimes years,
yeah,
trying to fish in the wrong pond, and we that's part of it, is we hope to help them figure out how to fish in the right pond, and then make sure they got the right bait and the right gear, all that
Yeah.
stuff.
yeah. What I
That's
like is when I can figure out how a client can apply a day-to-day solution, um, and they actually do it. That's the part that really I enjoy the most. There's one person who I taught about 2 years ago exactly how to go about this and attract clients online and become an authority as far as Google's concerned, which is the big thing. And she did it, but then she stopped doing it, and she stopped doing it for about 6 months and kind of had to start over again. But she's doing it, and she's picked up where she left off, and everything's good. And it's just so satisfying to see her go back to what we discussed as the way to go, which she decided was what she wanted to do, but then life interfered with being able to do that on a daily basis. But she's back, and she's doing just as well as she did before. So, but yeah, but you bring up a good point that it doesn't all have to be done online either. So there's all kinds of other ways that probably can be brought into the total solution, which it's so much fun in collaborating that you develop solutions that are beyond, your own particular, either your capability or your typical um, set of tools. But yeah, I love it when we can bring in other things that people aren't doing. It just changes the ball game so much for them.
Yeah, with our client here, we're working on some press releases and some articles that may go into newspapers and magazines. Seeing if we can arrange for her to do a presentation or two at some groups, maybe the Rotary Club, the local service clubs, library, and just get out in front of the people who really need to hear what she has to say, which is about retirement living and making good choices.
Yep, yep. And it sometimes it takes a while to land on what's the best message for your audience. What's going to really resonate with them? What do they really care about? Is what it comes down to.
Yeah, what do
So
they care about? Yeah.
But you brought up something before, Betty, that I thought was really good. I didn't get to comment on it at the time, but you mentioned that we got to figure out what the clients want, not what they need. And most solution providers don't realize that. They think that we got to provide what the client needs. But you mentioned it's what they want that really counts. You
yeah.
hit that nail right on the head.
Well, I think it comes down to what they want and what they need may not be the same thing. And the problem in a lot of the communication with the service providers is people, dictating solutions, and that just turns people off. They just shut down. They're not even learning at that point. They're basically pushing back and saying, no, I don't want that. right? And then
Yeah.
that comes back to,
Yeah.
like you said, what they want. And then sometimes what they want isn't really what they need.
Yeah.
And in that point, it comes to educating them about as to what they do really need in order to
To make
accomplish
them
what they
want
want.
it. In
Yeah.
order to make them want it.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so part of it is brainstorming. I think that's what we do.
Yeah.
Like your process especially is to go through all the things, and we need to hear what they are thinking, and we also, part of our job is to suggest alternatives or ways of going or different spins. Sometimes people have a really good idea of what they want to do, but it needs to be adjusted a little bit.
Right.
But I certainly do have experience with, especially in larger consulting companies. Like, large consulting companies tend to think, they got this giant hammer and they treat everything as a nail, and they don't
Yeah.
not really listening to the clients. They're just sort of trying to hammer the client into their solution,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So we're not like that.
No, we're not.
No. Yeah.
Very
And
good.
that goes back to meeting you where you are and growing with you. And that again circles back to learning from our clients.
Yeah.
Learning what our clients are really all about, what are their clients all about, and how do we accomplish those things.
And how do we learn that? We listen.
That's
or
what it's
try
all
to
about.
anyway.
Yay.
Yeah.
Simple, pretty simple.
Yeah.
You want to know what people are thinking? Listen to them.
Yeah, listen to them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we have a free review process. If you're interested in, getting, have us listen to you, so sign up and, reach out. I've got a link there where you can sign up for it as a coupon to get it for free. But reach out to us on wherever we are, which is almost everywhere. So you can go to the website, Total Traffic and Conversion. There's some appointment links there. We're all three of us are on LinkedIn. You can find us on LinkedIn, YouTube, and other places. But and Betty has a website. We got a bunch of websites, but Total Traffic and Conversion is the main place to go for. That's where we converge.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right.
And so we got a couple of people in the audience there, and I was just wondering if they have any stories about their favorite customer learning experiences. So that was our main theme today, and I'll put that on the screen. Learning adventures with our clients. We said earlier is that, sometimes Buddy said if she's not learning something from her client, then why do it? So you learn something new. We've all learned something. Roy was saying earlier, he's learned a lot about what dentists are doing and what they need to do. Betty Ghost wrote a book on dentists, and we're in the theme of it's not just simply online. One of our recommended referral partners does nothing else than put voice messages on the phone system in dental offices, right? So,
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's powerful too. There's so many things. There's so many people we can actually collaborate with. That's why we love for you to visit us and talk about what you can do, and we can see if we can weave that into a solution that's going to be, of course, when we add you, different than what we're already doing. And it might be really great for clients that neither of us has yet.
Yeah. Worth having a conversation. Come on down. Come on down. Make an appointment. Take your shoes off, y'all.
Yeah, jump on in.
Yeah.
That's right.
Water's fine.
Yeah. And we try to have fun. It's going to be a fun and productive collaboration if you work with us.
That's right. Fun is essential.
Yeah.
We all work hard enough. Let's not make a job out of it.
No. Enough of that.
Yeah, exactly.
So speaking of fun, I guess this is on a Friday afternoon, and actually it's almost almost evening for you there, Roy.
It's getting there. Yeah. Uh-huh.
And it's margarita time, maybe. I don't know.
Real close.
real close. So yeah. So anyway, I guess happy Friday, everybody. And wait one sec here. I gotta shut off my banner. If I can do that, where is it at?
And
Enjoy your weekend.
Come on and see us next week at the same time.
Same bat time, same bat channel.
Yeah. Come on in. Like Roy said, the water's fine.
The water's fine. It's a piranha free zone.
Piranha free zone, yeah.
Yes.
No gators, no piranhas, no sharks. We're just here grooving.
Yeah, no, yeah, it's all good. Anyway, happy Friday, everyone. Have fun this weekend.